disorders. A genetic disorder is a disease or a syndrome that is caused by an abnormality in an individual DNA. The abnormalities can range from a small mutation in a single gene to the addition or subtraction of an entire chromosome or even a set of chromosomes. Genetic disorders are of two types, as Mendelian disorders and chromosomal disorders. So what is a genetic disorder? Genetic disorder is a disease or a syndrome caused by the abnormality of an individual DNA. The abnormalities of the DNA may be due to addition or subtraction of the entire chromosome or sometimes the set of the chromosomes. The genetic disorders may be of two types like Mendelian disorders and chromosomal disorders. Mendelian disorders. Alteration or mutation in a single gene causes Mendelian disorders. These disorders are transmitted to the offspring on the same line as Mendelian pattern of inheritance. Based on the Mendelian pattern of inheritance, if a single gene causes any mutation or alteration, then that is called as Mendelian disorder. Some examples of Mendelian disorders are Thalassemia, Albinism, Phenylketonuria, sickle cell anemia, Huntington, Chorea, etc. These disorders may be dominant or recessive, either autosomal or allosomal or sex-linked.
Thalassemia is an inherited blood disorder. The normal chain consists of alpha and beta chain, whereas the thalassemic cell will not have. A large scale destruction of red blood cells will be seen, which leads to anemia. About 100,000 babies worldwide are born with severe forms of thalassemia each year. So we need to learn about this right now. Hemoglobin alpha chain and beta chain it has. And the red blood cells do not form properly and cannot carry sufficient oxygen. That condition leads to anemia and lasts throughout the life. As we have both chains and alpha thalassemia and beta thalassemia are also there. If the thalassemia is in alpha port, then it is called as alpha thalassemia, and beta port protein means it is called as beta thalassemia. 1.5% of global population carries the genes for beta thalassemia. Particular genetic defects are there with this. Alpha thalassemia mutation in gene HBA and HBA2, whereas beta thalassemia has mutation in HBB gene on 11th chromosome. What are the symptoms for this? Pale skin, fatigue, weakness, shortness of breath, an enlarged spleen, jaundice, dark color of urine and loss of appetite. And along with overload of iron, damage of heart, liver and endocrine system are also associated with this. Slow physical growth and delayed puberty, abnormal heart rhythms and congestive heart failures are also associated with the thalassemia. Iron chelation therapy is given for the patient. Diagnosis. How can we diagnose this? Blood test including a complete blood count, CBC test, hemoglobin electrophoresis test and genetic analysis. If the mother is pregnant, then we can go for CVS in the first trimester of pregnancy. Treatment. It includes regular blood transfusion and ion chelation therapy for the individuals, and supplementation of folic acid is essential. And there is advanced treatment is bone marrow transplantation. Phenylketonuria. That means it is a rare metabolic disease and it gives severe brain disorders. The phenylalanine will be increased to toxic levels. The phenylalanine is an amino acid. We were called as Phe, and it is an essential amino acid. That is, it is necessary, but our body cannot synthesize it. So we have to take with the food that contains proteins. So phenylalanine in the food enters into our body and it has to be converted into tyrosine in the presence of phenyl and hydroxylase. This tyrosine should have to be converted into neurotransmitters. Phenylketonuria is an autosomal recessive genetic disorder. Phenylalanine hydroxylase gene is present in the chromosome 12 and it has less than 600 mutations described. Symptoms for this: severe intellectual disability, psychiatric disorders, seizures. Maternal PKU syndrome is also there, which has heart defects, microcephaly, developmental disability. PKU. Phenylalanine will be increased and tyrosine will be decreased. As the increase of phenylalanine, it uses the same transporters to get across the blood-brain barrier. Tyrosine should have to be converted into tryptophan needed for the dopamine and norepinephrine, and tryptophan is needed for serotonin secretion in our body. So the PKU goes and the phenylalanine blocks there. As these are reduced, the levels in the brain fall in this. So the abnormal brain development will be there and we can see the intellectual disability of the person. Albinism. This is a recessive gene mutation encoding the enzymes needed for melanin. The enzyme of synthesis of melanin will be very low. That mutation is responsible for, the protein responsible for this is tyrosine and melanosomes. It is linked to Chorea-Higashi syndrome, hypopigmentation, recurrent infection, mild coagulation defects, varying neurological problems. Symptoms of this albinism: the coloring of hair, irises and skin will be changed. The hair pigmentation will be white. The skin will be milky white and the irises will be very light blue or translucent in nature. as these eyes are very translucent, the vision problems including focus and depth in perception, nystagmus and amblyopia will be there. As the skin is very much milky white, it forms freckles, moles and lentiginous and even cancer. Melanin. Melanin is a pigment that gives black color to the skin and hair of our body. There is only one enzyme involved in the catalyzation of the first two steps, that is tyrosinase. The remaining reactions are non-enzymatic and occur spontaneously. Synthesis of melanin. It is from tyrosin. The tyrosin gives rise to DOPA, dihydroxyphenylalanine, in the presence of oxygen, and the tyrosinase enzyme, which is a copper-based enzyme. The DOPA then is converted into dopaquinone in the presence of the same tyrosinase copper-based enzyme. The DOPA is then converted into indolquinone. This is a series of reactions involving decarboxylation and oxidation of side chain. And this indolquinone is polymerized to form melanin. Huntington's disease. It is an inherited autosomal dominant lethal gene in man. The symptoms include chorea, that means involuntary spasmodic movements, impaired coordination and balance, muscle rigidity, difficulty speaking and or swallowing, cognitive symptoms like dementia, psychiatric symptoms like depression will also be found. Huntington's disease is a neurodegenerative disease. That means the basal ganglia will be affected. It is caused because of the Huntington genes, the CAG genes, that will usually repeat in this disease. The trinucleotide repeats will be more. And the protein, the healthy gene will have only 27 repeats, but the disease gene will have more than 35 repeats. So, the protein structure will be modified. You all know that the proteins will be produced with the help of the genes.